We've got the session to start off with right after lunch. This is the one that is brought to you by the Hindu Business Line. I, Robot, how AI is reshaping the future of work. That is the subject that will be up for discussion. May I kindly request Ms. Debjani Ghosh to please come forward, the former president, Nasscom and Distinguished Fellow of NITI Aayog. You can put your hands together. Currently serves as a Distinguished Fellow at NITI Aayog, where she's leading the creation of frontier technology. Here, ma'am. Technology think tank to strengthen India's readiness for emerging technologies. With over 28 years of experience, including leadership roles at Intel, and as the first female president of Nasscom, she's played a pivotal role in positioning India as a global innovation hub. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly request you to put your hands together for Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, who is the former CEO, Cognizant, and the Chancellor at Krea University, a technology industry professional with over 40 years in the IT industry. As a co-founder of Cognizant, he spent several years in leadership and governance role on the company's board. He serves as the trustee of Chennai Mathematical Institute and the Chancellor of Krea University as well. Pleasure in welcoming Mr. B. Santhanam, who is the former CEO in Asia Pacific and India region and chairman of Gobain India, distinguished business leader with a 45-year career at the Gobain Group, where he held senior roles including chairman from 2020 to 2025 and managing director of Grindwell Norton Limited and the CEO of the Asia Pacific region and the India region from the period of 2021 to 2025. And of course, all of them will be in conversation with Mr. Raghuvir Srinivasan. Put your hands together for the chartered accountant and cost accountant by training. He's over 3 decades of journalistic experience, all within the Hindu Group. And Raghuvir is a part of the founding team of the Business Line, having joined the newspaper way back in 1994 as a young research analyst. Over to you, Raghuvir.
Thank you, Anand. Good afternoon. I know sessions after lunch are always difficult. I can see that a lot of attendees are still enjoying their lunch. So hopefully they'll be back soon. I'm only reminded of a quote that one of my college professors used to tell us. You know, his class was always the one immediately after lunch. So he would say, when the stomach is empty, words are plenty. When the stomach is full, words are dull, because all of us will be nodding off. So I hope that will not be the case now, because we're going to discuss a very important subject, one that is going to affect all of us. It's already affecting all of us in ways known and unknown. And we really don't know how it's going to change our lives going forward. And when I say forward, it's not 15 years, 20 years. It's the next 3 to 5 years. A lot of changes are likely to happen, and thanks to artificial intelligence. So I have with me a very distinguished set of panelists, a power pack panel here. And we will attempt to use some real intelligence or natural intelligence, if I may, to decipher the impact of AI, artificial intelligence, on our lives. So I will start with Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. Can you just take us across what is happening in the field of AI technology, the developments worldwide, and how is it going to impact society, business, even politics going forward?
Thank you, Raghuvir, and good afternoon, everyone. The introduction, I was talking with Debjani about the introductions for a topic which is very current and future-oriented. We've got 3 panelists who are former something. So I don't even know if we are the relevant people to be talking about this topic. You know, one of the things that when I was in Cognizant and I just about retired, I met Clayton Christensen. And when I introduced myself to him saying that I'm the ex-CEO of Cognizant, he said, ex-CEO, forget that's old story. What are you doing now? So he's the person who's innovative. He talks about innovation all the time. So that is one of the best lessons that I learned from him. But coming to the topic of today about AI, about robots, robotics, humanoids, that's an area that's very exciting for technologists like me, who constantly keep following what's happening there, not necessarily thinking about how it is applied. I'd like to present a picture, a future-oriented picture, like the way the McKinsey people would do, the 3 horizons. Horizon 1, which is current, Horizon 2, which is immediately next, Horizon 3, which is into the future, not far into the future, because the way technology gets adopted, it's very, very rapid. If we start from Horizon 3, perspective from there is the stories of LLMs is already done. It's there. Yeah, you'll get a few more frontier models. You'll get a few million more application models, but that's there. What is the next one? That comes to Horizon 2, which is, this is Horizon 1. Horizon 2 is agentic AI. If there are a billion people who are using computers, there is probably a need for tens of billions of agents working for each one of the individuals and the corporates. And how do we create a world that will house those billions of agents, and how do they provide the service? And the next frontier is about what is the infrastructure that's required for billions of agents to work for this agentic world, and add into the mix humanoids, machines that will do the work of other machines as well as human beings. There is also a theory, or not really a theory, a test, like all of us will be familiar with the Turing test, which says, if you interact with a computer and a human being, artificial intelligence has arrived. Similarly, there is a physical AI and the physical Turing test. If a physical task has been completed, and if it is, you cannot make out whether a human being did that task or whether a humanoid completed the task, that means physical AI has arrived, and that's where we are progressing. I just want to take 2 minutes and talk about the most recent announcement that was made by the all-powerful, almighty Jensen Huang of NVIDIA. He was in Taiwan, Taipei, giving a 2-hour keynote address to the Taiwanese semiconductor industry, which is where he introduced the concept of AI factory and the new chips, the new models that's coming out. You have heard of Grace Blackwell. There is a new Rubin set of GPUs that will be commercialized, but that may not be very, very relevant immediately. But what's going to be relevant is NVIDIA is collaborating with Microsoft on launching laptops that can run AI models almost as efficiently, AI models with perhaps less than 5 billion parameters, as efficiently as GPUs. And they showed these laptops and workstations on the servers, and they're going to be available commercially within the next 12 months in large numbers. That's going to be one of the biggest revolutions that the AI hardware industry has brought about. As far as the software is concerned, models that anybody, you and I, can download and create an AI application. So that space is extremely dynamic, moving very fast, and driven by technologists who are giving you tools and agents to deploy it whichever way we want. But the point is, the application of this AI hasn't taken off in a big manner, whether it's in India or in the Western world. It's not done in a big way. Again, going back to the comments made by Jensen, he says, people are saying people are being laid off because of AI. That's just not true. Just not true. And he has statistics to show why some of the overhiring of the past is the reason why layoffs are happening, and how AI is being used by corporates to say they are taking away jobs. That's not started happening. It will happen, but it is likely to create different types of jobs. So that's the technology space. So if I want to summarize it, I said humanoids who are almost like human beings will come in the next 3 to 4 years. Laptops that can run AI models that you and I can use efficiently will be available within the next 1 month. And knowing about AI being AI smart is the now for us, for the retired people like us, as well as for younger people today.
That's quite mind-boggling, 3 horizons and AI-powered laptops. And Ms. Debjani Ghosh, that is the international context. How are we in India? You're a policymaker, you're associated with NITI Aayog. And how are we in India preparing for this? Are we set? Are we? What stage of development are we in this race?
Thank you, Raghu. And first of all, thank you very much for having us. And a huge thanks to the audience who has decided to cut short the sacred lunch break. Really appreciate, because I know how important lunch is for all of us. So really appreciate that. The past world of Nasscom, I'm going to leave that behind. And I'll talk about what I'm doing now, which also answers Raghu's question. So I'm currently setting up what we call the Frontier Tech Hub, which is a think tank within Government of India, within NITI Aayog, that is looking 5 to 10 years down the line to understand what are the key technology shifts that will be taking place. What do they mean for citizens, for industry, for government itself, and for geopolitical order? And how should India prepare today so that we are not followers in the next shifts, but we can actually move over to setting rules, setting standards. So there's definitely a lot of appreciation and understanding of the importance of technology, not just as a tool for economic power and national security, but I think there's now recognition that technology is becoming the axis of power, period. And therefore, how do you move to the side of shaping the rules rather than following the rules? Now, one of the things as part of our work that is very, very interesting and that's coming out is that there are 3 shifts which are happening simultaneously. And these 3 shifts have nearly happened at this level simultaneously to completely disrupt and reimagine the tech landscape. So what are these shifts? First, speed. Anyone knows how long it took, say, Apple to get to $1 trillion valuation? Any guesses? 40 plus years to get to $1 trillion valuation. How long is it going to take Anthropic to get to $1 trillion?
The next 15 days.
4 years. That's how much innovation cycles are compressing. Talk about companies. Let's take a better target. 500 billion companies getting to $1 trillion. Apple, 6.4 years. Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA were all in the 2-year range, 2.2, 2.4, something like that. They're all in around the 2-year range, roughly. Tesla, within a year, 0.9 years. Samsung was also 5 years. In May, last
உங்க பசங்களுக்கு ஏகப்பட்ட டாய் வாங்கி கொடுத்திருப்பீங்க. ஆனா நான் ஒரு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லான டாய் சொல்லட்டுமா? Crawling robot.
Hopefully a cure for pancreatic cancer. I'm sure you've read about that, you've heard about that, right? So our ability to do good with this technology is again unprecedented. And so is our ability to do bad. If for those of you following Project Glasswing, my Anthropics, Mythos report out, 1 month report out, I think the number of vulnerabilities they found in 1 month, I don't think we have seen that many vulnerabilities in a lifetime.
But Ms. Debjani, what is India's position in all this? Are we...
Can I just complete and
yeah.
close that? Yeah. And then the third shift, with great power comes great desire to control that power. And that's the third shift we are seeing, which is the race for control. Who controls the technology gets the highest value out of it. And this is where you're seeing policies come in, US semiconductor choke points, energy choke points, rare mineral choke points. So these are getting hardwired. Now, coming to India's position, where are we? Currently, we are seen as a great market, a very large consumer market for technologies, which is great, but it doesn't allow you to capture as much value. So if you look at the 17.6 trillion prediction of how much value AI will create in the next 5 years, 80% of that is going to 2 countries, US and China. So for India, we should at least aspire to get 10% of that. And I think that's where the shift is happening. So you see a lot of focus on moving towards infrastructure, energy, semiconductor, etc., along with the diffusion story. It's an and story. So I think for India, it's important for us to, we can't take something as disruptive as frontier technologies and try to fit it in archaic models and archaic systems. It won't work. So I think the challenge now is for all of us to reimagine the systems that will work for us, or the systems of productivity, as China calls it, right? And I think that's going to be the big challenge for us.
Of the 3 layers in AI, foundational models, agents, and hyperscalers who help all these, where do you think India should focus on this? Because there's a debate that India should not try to reinvent the wheel and go back to foundational models, but they should look at applications, look at diffusion, look at enabling these through hyperscalers. What should be the position of India?
The stack is way more than those 3 layers. And the stack is completely changing because the technology itself is changing. So we have to keep identifying the opportunities. I think we have to control the energy, and we can if we want to. We have to control the energy because energy is going to become the biggest choke point for AI. In semiconductor itself is changing, and there are going to be opportunities as computing moves from centralized compute to edge compute. And you're going to need energy efficient compute. You're going to need advanced packaging. And I think these can create tremendous opportunities for India because they play to our strength of design. Right? So for each of these layers, we have to identify what are those leapfrog opportunities that get created. And it's not just models. Models is one piece of it. And I think in models itself, the story is changing from large language models, which are getting more and more commoditized, to who can build the vertical models, the smaller vertical models to solve specific problems. And that's where, to Lakshmi's point, the agentic play will come in. Right? So you really have to understand the stack, every layer, and in every layer, identify where your opportunities to leapfrog, not catch up, because the catch-up game is not going to work. It's not going to give you the ROI.
Okay. Mr. Santhanam, I know you have very strong views on diffusion of AI. It is something that corporates, individuals, businesses have to adopt. Do you think Indian businesses and Indian companies are up there in terms of diffusion? Is there awareness of AI at the board level at all? And are we just talking of LLMs?
Yeah, no, I'll cover this at 3 levels. One is at the India, particularly the government level. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the individuals. And the last I'll come to the companies. It's good, bad, and ugly, okay, in that order. frankly, I mean, I'm not going to get into this debate about humanoids and stack and other thing. I think we have experts there. I think, in my view, compared to many other governments that I see in Europe, and other than US doesn't have a government which is regulating or driving anything, I think Indian government has done a pretty decent job, especially the MIT. I think the secretary who should have come today, I think done a very good job of creating a AI mission at various levels, various stacks and various things. And when I invested some time with the IITs and the IISCs, I think there is a tremendous amount of work that's going on. You have Sarvam AI, you have Bhashini, you have many others which have actually relevant for India. Okay, there's always this debate about foundational models. I think at this point in time, I mean, I'm sure that NITI Aayog would be talking a lot about some of the frontier work that we have to do. But a large number of us feel that there is foundational models, as she said, as commoditized. And what is important for us is diffusion. And I think this is something which people like Nandan, Xstep and others are doing. And I think the focusing on diffusion, which is in agriculture and in education and health, these are three things. I see this as a very happening. And I think there are some fantastic examples. You have the Mahavistar at agriculture, which took 9 months. And 3 months, that model was replicated in Ethiopia. And in 3 weeks, it was done in...
Periscope is an important program.
Is that similar to Periscope?
Diffusion pathway is critical. And I think this technology can do two things. There is what is called a median shift. It shifts the median of people, or there is this extreme right. There are 50 white male Christians running this AI world. That's it, with 10 Chinese. So if you really want the median shift, then we have to really look at the diffusion. I think there is some good work going on, and I have a feeling that we will capture this base of the pyramid work on education, skills, health, and others. I have a bit of a concern about the so-called assumptions on Gen Z and their fluency with AI. I did a limited study. It's a fairly limited study. And I found that contrary to the assumptions that the Gen Z are absolutely AI native, I found actually they are basically shortcut seekers by and large. They're seeking a shortcut for an activity. I think this is a bit of a dangerous trend. Therefore, I think schools and colleges have to have a way in which we use AI as a collaborator, as a cognitive sparring partner, but not as a cognitive substitute. I think there I'm a bit worried. I think we have both the spectrums. We have these people who are basically using it as a vending machine, put in a query and get out a thing and then write a project. I think we need to work on that. But this is still a solvable problem. My big problem is with companies. I think companies in India, and I'm talking about the Nifty 50, I was asked to speak on this subject, and I found that I'm removed TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, and I don't know, the sixth company. Cognizant is not listed in India, therefore they were not in the Nifty. In the Nifty 45, there are 230 independent directors. Less than 10% of them have any understanding or knowledge of technology, be it digital, be it this. That's the state today. That's the state of our boards. The independent directors have very limited understanding and knowledge of where this technology is, how do you drive. If this, and I don't see this deep engagement in the board about how AI can make a transformative difference. So therefore, I'm a bit concerned that the least equipped are the Indian boards. If you have done a very simple analysis of, it's 1 year dated, so maybe it will change this year, but FY25 balance sheet of the top Nifty 50 companies, leave out the tech companies, there is not one company in the managing director's report had AI mentioned. Not one.
That's shocking.
Not one. Okay, so I think we have to wait and see FY26. It'll come in this because those reports were made in last June, July, August of last year. We didn't know that Claude 4.6 is going to come. We didn't know that Agentic is going to come. So my concern would be, I'm not talking about, there are few BFSI boards like some auto companies which are doing pretty well, Tata Motors, Mahindra's, Bajaj and many others. A bulk of the companies, and the surprising part of it is the multinational companies which are operating in India are actually surprisingly silent on AI. So I'm more worried. So if I look at it, I think the government is doing a damn good job. And I think the diffusion will happen. I think the individuals, I'm a bit worried, but I'm more worried about the companies which have to seek out growth and innovation rather than just efficiency. So that's where I am at this point in time. So these three layers. So I hope that I've provoked enough of you on this.
I'll come back to you on those with follow-up questions. Debjani Ghosh has to leave in the next 5 minutes, so she has to catch a flight. So I'm going to ask you one last question. Would you want to talk about what NITI Aayog is doing in this area and your work associated with NITI Aayog in developing AI awareness, AI skills, and preparing the Indian workforce for that?
So my work is very different. My work is really frontier tech lab scanning and understanding and preparing the stack analysis for Government of India. So we understand the leapfrog opportunities across sectors like semiconductor, quantum, biotech, etc. But on going back to your question on skills and workforce development, which is a huge opportunity for India, there are two things. First, I think we have to shift the debate and the discourse from the AI going to take away all jobs to how do we redesign for AI. And I think that's the biggest requirement right now, because in the last few weeks, some of the biggest people who have been speaking about how AI is going to, create a white collar cliff and every job is going to fall through, have basically gone back and said, no, that's not going to happen. Right. So what we are seeing, and I think where you look at the data, as Lakshmi rightly said, a lot of the displacements till now were due to overhiring during the pandemic. So it was correction that was happening. And if you look at what's happening currently, you have to break down jobs into tasks, because every job is a bundle of tasks. And you have to look at how many of these tasks can get automated and how many don't. And that decides job risk, high, low, or medium. Right? And when you do that assessment, you realize that the simple jobs, the entry-level jobs, which are one task job, data entry, call center, etc., these are the highest risk jobs. And so jobs won't go away, but with the entry level will definitely get disrupted. And that is important because that's millions of people in India and millions of youngsters in India. So the question is, what do you now do with them? How do you prepare them to move up the jobs value chain? Because when you move up the job value chain, what you find is a model that I think Dan Schipper came out with it. He called it first, but we are using it. It's called the human sandwich model, which is you have the AI in the middle, but you need the humans to frame the questions, to frame the inputs. AI does the work. And then you need humans again at the end to verify the outcome, to ensure that the outcome is safe, responsible, blah, 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 right? So, and honestly, for those of us who are using AI extensively, it's the human sandwich model that is becoming important. And that will be very important when we get into the agentic era. Because you will need to have, the human in the loop in order to ensure your agents don't go crazy. So it's going to be very, very important. So from a job perspective, realistically, what we are seeing is the entry level has to be protected. And we have to really reimagine our reskilling, our skilling initiatives to ensure that people have what I call workflow skills and not just generic certificates that we are training for, which honestly don't have much relevance on the workflow. So how do you integrate skills? How many institutes are teaching our youngsters how to work with agents? And if we are not, why not? Because that's what they'll be doing. Most of them will be doing that in a few years. So why are we not building these skills? So I think it's going to be very important to sort of redesign our skilling, not just how we skill, but what are we skilling them on? How do we do that? And it will be important to redesign the workforce to pretty much manage this human sandwich that I'm talking about, which is AI coexisting with the humans. So that's how we see it. And I'm very sorry I have to catch a flight, but thank you so much to the panelists and to Raghu.
Would you mind taking one or two questions if the audience has anything?
Sure.
Any questions from the audience for Debjani Ghosh before she leaves? One question only, please, because she has to leave now.
Hello, madam. Nice to have connected. The current situation in AI, especially the AI readiness in India, is quite alarming. And when I look at the curriculum of the students, right? So until 20 years of his education, he or she is never exposed to AI. So how would you, view this point of AI readiness for the upcoming task force, which is currently pretty outdated compared to a world standard?
So I think, first of all, learning doesn't just happen in the four walls of the institution. And a lot of AI we should not teach AI. We should do AI. You can't teach someone what is AI and how to understand AI. You have to allow them to build. You have to allow them to code. And I think there's a lot of opportunities available for youngsters. What I worry about is, while we are bringing in curriculum into our school system, into our higher ed system, to train students on the skills that are required, I think the problem is, are we changing it fast enough? Because AI itself is changing, the job requirements are changing. So it's not okay to bring in a curriculum and go revisit it after 5 years. We should be revisiting every 6 months to see what needs to change. But then, the skilling ecosystem today is way beyond institute. And those who want to learn, there's a lot out there for them to learn. What I worry about is not what you said, but what I worry about is the hunger and the urgency to learn is still not very high in India. And that's my biggest issue.
Yeah. Thank you, Debjani. Thank you so much. We'll let you go now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. You're none better qualified than you as Chancellor of Krea University and head of Chennai Mathematical Institute. Are we preparing graduates for the AI era? Are our curricula in colleges? He spoke about schools. I'm going to talk about colleges. Are we up to date? We have several colleges which offer computer science, AI, and ML, and there are kids flocking to it, paying huge fees. But when they come out, are they well prepared for the job market? What is your assessment of this?
The short answer is no. The long answer is, we have to see this in the cycle is invention, innovation, diffusion. Nothing new. We have experienced that. Invention of something, a new science, new knowledge, new tool, something, and use that to innovate and come up with different applications of that tool or agent in this particular case, innovation, and then diffusion. Diffusion is something that we are quite good at. We have demonstrated because we have always tackled as a country problems at the population scale. So diffusing it and creating capacity for the diffusion is something that we are comfortable. Is it fantastic talent? Not necessary, but then the technology that's available that's today does not require superheroes for the diffusion part. Innovation requires a certain level of knowledge, certain level of problem-solving skills, certain aptitude, certain curiosity, certain critical thinking. That I don't think very many of the students going through courses in general get that. And students who are going through AI in particular will have to be very, very it's very meager. I'll give you one. I mean, the best example that was given was that you all know Harari. He says, AI is not like a tool. Imagine a tool like a knife. I can use the knife for preparing salad, or I can use the knife to hurt somebody. But the decision is in the person who's wielding the knife. An agent is not like that. An agent has a knife. It can do whatever it wants eventually if it gets autonomous. So do we have people with the maturity to decide to innovate with those guardrails, with that context? We don't have sufficient number of them. The reason we don't have enough of them is we have not created that capability, we have not created that capacity, because we don't have the people to create that capacity. Who are the people who will create that capacity? That comes from the invention area. You know, the typical cycle is there are researchers, there are PhDs, they invent something, they develop other faculties, there are postdocs and doctorates who are working with them. They understand the technology, then they go to colleges and start teaching. And that, you know, 5 researchers, top-end researchers, will have 50 postdocs working with them. Those 50 will train and develop another 500 teachers in various colleges, and they will develop another 250,000 students. You know, a kind of a classic model. It doesn't have to be like the way in olden days. This cycle is completely compressed now in a matter of about 1 year, 1.5 years. If we have right investment in research and leaders who think, who innovate, who create new knowledge, then this is easy. That is something that we have missed. We are not investing enough in research. The blame goes to the private sector. The government is trying to do so much to encourage research in education institutions, in other institutions. The private sector is just not investing there, despite the fat balance sheets that they have. That's a very sad state. Because of that, innovation and therefore diffusion is not happening. If you have sufficient number of innovators, 1,000 models will come out. You know, Santhanam talked about the Amal model that came up in 3 weeks. There are 1,000 3-week models that can be developed by people, provided we have that innovation capability. And correspondingly, we have to build that diffusion capability. That whole cycle is something is where we have to rethink, not the traditional way of education, but a new way in the AI context.
Santhanam, you spoke about lack of awareness in company boards. Nifty companies, independent directors, only 10% of the companies had any reference to.
The rest of us are doing finance, regulation, governance, and sustainability.
Yeah. And Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan is speaking about companies just not interested in this. So what is the basic problem? Is it that there is a thinking that AI can be co-opted into the work stream as a matter of course, or is it that they're just not cognizant about the capabilities or the efficiencies that AI can bring into their operations?
So I think other than the top tech companies and a set of global financial behemoths like JP Morgan and others, a large number of companies haven't yet figured out what to do with AI. The issue is Indian boards are not even talking about it. And the Western boards have really incorporated AI experts into their independent director position. That's really what I wanted to say. But I think we are, for India, I still believe diffusion is crucial. I'll just give you statistics of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, because these are 2 states which are somewhat similar. In the government schools in Tamil Nadu, there are 2.2 lakh teachers, there are 37,000 schools. So that means the ratio is, and for 60 lakh students or something like that, the ratio is as good or better than Finland, which is often. The primary school outcome currently is 1 in 8 in Tamil Nadu, and a very similar data in Karnataka. If they are class 5, they can do subtraction. That is the state of what we have. I would rather that India becomes a capital of the world for diffusion models of this kind, which can dramatically change the pedagogy and the teaching that we have. Just remember, 1 in 8 in Tamil Nadu, kids coming out of government schools and also private schools in the vicinity. I'm not even talking about in the tier 3.
Digital arrest scene 1, take 5.
Hey, warrant है. You are under digital arrest.
Income tax notice है.
AI is one thing where, and I think there is private schools in the vicinity. I'm not even talking about in the tier 3, tier 4, and they cannot do basic arithmetic. And AI is one thing where, and I think there is one very famous economist, many of you will know, as well as a cognitive science guy called Senthil Mullainathan. He's from Tamil Nadu and he moved there. He's at Harvard and then Chicago Booth. He says that AI must work on, there are two approaches that are happening right now. One is AI does significantly superior to what humans can do in that particular task, whatever be the task, whether it's maths, whether it's science, whether it is agentic work. I said much more work has to be done and where only AI can do and humans cannot do. The Amul example, the Mahavistar example that we have, humans would not have been able to manage 20 million cattle, to be able to detect their diseases, to be able to spread. It's impossible humanly because you need army of veterinarians. I think while I'm disappointed by the work at the boards and other thing, I have a feeling it is in this diffusion into health, education, and agriculture that India can play a dramatically different role compared to any other country can do, because we have that size, the scope, the scale of what can be done. So I'm sorry, I'm not answering your question directly, but I really wanted to say that the most important work is in diffusion at these three areas: agriculture, education, and health. And that's where I think AI can do what humans cannot do.
I have a counterpoint to that. I wouldn't worry too much about diffusion in this country because diffusion is kind of a pull. You know, you look at any of the most recent public digital infrastructure that we have created. It's been accepted, whether it's payment systems, whether it's Aadhaar, all that Jan Trinity. The moment there is a usable, simple application, whether it's for a farmer or for a person living in an urban city, the pull factor and the jugaad mindset will make sure that whatever innovation gets diffused into the rest of the population. The area that I constantly worry about is the research area. You know, there are Eric Schmidt of Google has created a Schmidt Science Laboratory in New York. There is a student from Indian Institute of Science who studied here, went to Oxford, finished his PhD in physics. Somehow he got a chance meeting with Schmidt. He said, why don't you do something in computer science? I'll help you. He got him admission into University of Toronto, where he did 2 years of postdoc work. And is working now in Schmidt Lab in New York, where the idea is they want to create self-driving laboratories that will kind of do research on their own in materials. What is the new semiconductor material that's going to come about? Now, here is a Bangalore boy, studied in Institute of Science. He's been in touch with all the people while he was studying Oxford, but we let go of this opportunity. And there are so many such people. It's those people that need to come and do that invention bit. But we are happy at least that they're doing that invention using their gray cells in producing something for world good. So that's the most difficult area that we are finding it extremely difficult to, kickstart. Innovation is also a bit of a problem, but it's a problem of money. It's a problem of commerce. There are enough people to find or, buy a solution. I think more and more will start creating that. The diffusion, I think, Santhanam is talking about is in terms of knowledge and skill creation, skill and talent. That, there is starting from the school system. There's a whole lot of changes that have to happen. Not necessarily the traditional way, but it has to be a new way of fast learning. We don't know how. I don't think anybody has figured that out.
One last question before I throw it open to the audience. This is an important one. Are we building enough guardrails to regulate AI, not just in India, but globally? It seems to be now completely out of any regulation worldwide. And what does it mean for the human race? Both of you,
I'm actually, it's a bit of a joke about this guardrail. I think there is no guardrail right now. There isn't. There are 5 labs, which are, and another 4 or 5 labs, which are doing every single thing. You just had the plea from Anthropic just 2 days ago. Allow me not to do this. Stop me from doing this, because I'm already hitting the capability which we didn't think it would happen so soon. That's what Amudai talked about, saying that we need to make sure. But he says that I can't only do it. You have to make sure OpenAI stops, Google stops, Meta is not in that game yet. And then you have to have the Chinese also stop. I don't think there is going to be guardrails on what AI's future is going to be. I think it is too risky a proposition to believe that the guardrails made by people who are moving at a infinitesimally slow pace is going to stop this infinitely rapid technology. So I think we should assume no guardrail, and we should then believe, how do we coexist in a world where potentially AI has unlimited capability?
So where does this leave us in an era of deep fake pictures, videos, fake news generated by AI? We had 3 weeks ago, once our new chief minister in Tamil Nadu assumed office, AI generated image of him having lunch on his table.
I think she said that
home. So
the AI was able to identify much more security vulnerability than what humans have identified for the last decades. I don't know. There are no answers. But to even believe that there is a possibility for a guardrail is really putting ourselves to sleep. You think
it's not possible to install guardrails?
I think we should assume it is not possible. Then we have to come up with ways to manage that. More and more people today, anywhere in the world, are talking about coexistence. They're not talking about collaborative work with AI anymore. So this is my view, because I think this guardrail seems to be like, this is what companies are doing. Actually, most of the companies in India are putting guardrails, not allowing their kids to, their employees to use, this because we are afraid of our data and it'll go away and things like that. They should be afraid because they don't have that good a data. Okay, but I think that is preventing innovation in companies. That's a different subject. I don't think humanity can assume AI can be stopped by few guardrails here and there. You have to make a different assumption.
Yeah. So Lakshmi Narayanan.
Right now, immediately, it's not for us in India, our adoption of AI models in the advanced stages, that's not taken off. So to that extent, guardrails I would say a little less important, because there aren't that many advanced uses where you can cause a lot of damage. But then things are going to change, and we would certainly require guardrails. 2, I think the government's policy, which they very clearly enunciated, 3 stages. You can use AI for informative purposes, for learning, for teaching. It's just like the way we use Google, but in a much, much more advanced way. The second purpose, the next stage, is decision support. Use it in all your decision support, make it more efficient. There are plenty of examples. Cash management system, beautiful decision management system, equity research, fantastic results that you get with AI. This is something that you can use where you get a lot of decision options from AI, but the decision is made by the human being, the typical human in the loop. The next stage is complete autonomy to agents and complete autonomy to AI. That, the government is saying that we are not going to allow it, at least in the government systems. Okay? They can afford that. They have plenty of people. They have to keep all the people. But that's a call that the private sector will have to take. How far do they go? By autonomous systems, I mean self-driving car. That's a completely autonomous system. Can't imagine that kind of a system coming here. Guardrail or no guardrail here in this. So there'll be certain natural guardrails that we have in this country, but we have to worry about guardrails. And the deep fake pictures, videos, etc. that you're talking about, there the watermark technology has come about. So after the damage is done, you know who has caused the damage, but you cannot prevent the damage from happening.
Yeah, the audience, I see quite a few hands going up. Please keep your questions short.
Yeah. Sir, this is a question to Mr. Santhanam. You see, we have been doing some work with your company. We supply some consumables to you. Now, I'm talking about robotics, for example, the glass industry. Where do you think AI can be applied, say, for example, in a company like yours? If there's a repetitive job, or secure it, or I don't know. I mean, having been to a factory in the past, I just wanted to know in a factory like that, where can robotics come in and where can AI come in, sir? Your views.
So I think we'll take it offline because it's a very specific question to a company. We take it offline, but the sky is the limit. Okay, the classical robots in manufacturing is going to make a huge difference, but the agentic work that's happening, the generative work, not the predictive, ML-based work that we were doing. The agentic work has got a huge opportunity to really significantly enhance the output and productivity of teams. So we'll take this offline because it's very specific to a company that I was working for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is regarding this project Glasswing you would have heard about, the cloud mythos that is into cybersecurity in AI. So my question is, it is coming to India also, I've heard it. So will it be beneficial to the financial institutions and the financial companies and the banks, and how it will be used? Because recently it is like finding out bugs that are 3 to 4 decades old in certain companies.
It's about mythos, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, mythos has the ability to see the vulnerabilities in the operating systems at the lowest level, not necessarily the applications. Applications, of course, there'll be a lot of this thing, the damage is not there. If it is at the operating system level, then it's a serious problem. Okay, so that's one of the reasons. The reason why Anthropic hasn't released it widely and given it to people is there are so many vulnerabilities that they have noticed in their testing that if it goes out and if it goes into the wrong hands, then hacking of all these systems will happen. It will just open up a whole can of worms. So that's the reason they've been very selective, saying we'll give it to you, identify the vulnerabilities, and take some action about it before we make it widely available. So that's one of the things. That's a guardrail. A company like Anthropic is been promoting responsible AI. They constantly keep talking about responsible AI. And that's a call that the companies will have to take. Their boards will have to take. What do I use it for? What do I release? What do I not release? And I mean, for that Palantir example of satellite images, Anthropic said, I will not allow you to use it for war purposes. There is a Planet satellite company that said, I'll not give data to Palantir to choose targets. So more and more you find people who are using or, standing up to certain values and causes and providing their own natural guardrails.
Time for 2 more questions, the lady there.
My name is Professor Dr. Raman. I have taught both at the National University of Singapore, Jindal Global University, and also at IISc for 1 year. I see a stark difference, mentioning your point, Dr. Lakshmi Narayanan, about 2 things. One is a global consensus or an international consensus or a council on this governance or testing part of AI. I don't think even within, for example, that first panelist was talking about redesign. Who will redesign it and why should anybody else accept it? These 2 men in America, Mr. Elon Musk and Sam, they can't see eye to eye. None of them in AI today seeing eye to eye. There are no one standards like BIS, or there was W3 Council when Tim Berners-Lee was there. There's no international consensus on anything, climate
Absolutely, yeah.
included. And second for me is the research that is now is all translatable research is funded. Fundamental research is no longer funded. I know this as a part of the university and also in IISc. I'm sorry to say that foundation that they created also, there wasn't much coming out of it at all. Their integration frameworks, the framework is not being developed and it's not being aligned in terms of, for example, WTO in trade, or there are some certain standardizations. Where are they in AI? And thirdly, no woman is part of this, that I have to bring to your attention. I'm sorry about this, but white men, I take your point, Chinese women are also not part of it. So
No,
women
I'll
are
just
not
answer
leaders,
the first part of the
can't make
question.
AI to produce a baby at the end.
Yeah.
Mr. Lakshmi
I
Narayanan
don't know,
can't do much
just
about
a-
women not being part of it, but he can slowly
Yeah, just
answer.
the first part I'll say, you're right. Two of the people, Dennis Azabias of Google and Anthropic's Dario, they're in a discussion. They're saying it's going too fast. It's too dangerous. We have to slow it down. Both of them agree, but both of them compete with each other to produce better models and better models. If you ask them why you're competing with, on the one hand, you're saying we have to slow down, but you're advancing it at a breakneck speed. They talk about competition from China. A Kim is doing it. A Gwen is doing it. So that race is something that they are not able to stop. Stop there.
One last question from. Wait for the mic to come to you, please.
Greetings of today, sir. Thank you for the myrific session. I'll keep it short. No matter what we discuss, the greatest maxim is James Carvyle's words, it's economy stupid. So I'm going to ask the stakeholders of AI that how the gulf between the rich and the poor are going to be taken care by all the stakeholders and the pioneers, trailblazers like you. Thank you and wishing you all an enchanting day.
That's all. Yeah. Ms. Santhanam will answer your question.
I think there are two things which are going to happen. I have a feeling AI will reduce reasoning and inference inequality in the world. Take it. Today, if you take the reasoning and the inequality of reasoning, analytical intelligence is as massive as it is for anything. But we think that is natural. AI will reduce it. But it will exacerbate on the extreme end inequality. So you will have both happening. You will have an average improving, which is helpful for inequality. And you will have the extreme right, large mega companies, unimaginable market cap, revenue and valuation happening. Both will happen. So it is, we don't know which way it will go.
Yeah, I have a fundamental point there. Traditionally, new technologies come at a high price, premium segment, advances inequality, economic inequality between the haves and the have-nots. But the newer technologies are far more leveling. The open source, the open innovation, is actually reducing economic inequality. And that's something that is demonstrated India's Gini index based on consumption. We are the 4th in the world when you look at it from a consumption point of view. That's because of economic growth and availability of data, information, etc.
Thank you. I think we'll have to close here. We're already running out of time. We are way beyond our assigned time. Thank you so much, Mr. Santhanam and Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan.
Thank you so much to Mr. Raghuvir Srinivasan. Thank you so much, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. Thank you so much, Mr. Santhanam. And let's not forget the contribution of Ms. Debjani Ghosh as well, who had to catch a flight, and therefore she was only a part of the first half of the session. Thank you once again, gentlemen, on the dais. Thank you. Appreciate it.